Hey guys, it is Joe here with why is Bolivia Bolivia's the wrong color? With a new series, alternate future, but my viewers decide what happens. So, like I said, we have these alliances starting off. The NATO, Rio Pact, which this is also in, hence this dot, CSTO, and the Peninsula Shield Force, I think is what it's called, which is between Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, the UAE, and Oman. So back over on the normal layer, I said we would be starting with a war. That is the Russia-Ukraine war. Now there are loads of other wars. Well, not loads, but there are other wars I could have included, like the um M23 or the Myanmar thing. There are also others that I don't like, or Gaza, but that's kind of But there are others I could have included, but I decided to just include Russia, Ukraine. So I'll just get the fine. Now Ukraine got pushed out of Kursk. Now in the alternate his features that I just do by myself, yes, I do those with just myself. Before they got pushed out, I would add their Kursk territory, but they are still there, except they've majorly pushed back and it wouldn't make much of a difference to include it on the map, so we will not be doing that here. And so, also, I will link the people who said stuff in the description. So, yeah. So, nobody said anything about the Ukraine war, so we'll just say that's a stalemate over there. And the first thing's actually not here. I don't know. Poland will declare war on Germany, saying that they want revenge. And they immediately began pouring troops into unsuspecting Germany, taking the Berlin. So there's a slight problem with this, and that is NATO. So the US will go over to Google and look up who is stronger, Poland or Germany, to see which member they want to help. And then it says Germany, and they're like, okay, we'll help Germany. And so they tell NATO allies who are near Poland to join in on the war. And yeah, so they do. So these countries will join in, not a lot of them, but they are there. And also NATO aid will be coming, even though they don't officially declare war. Prague quickly falls to the Poles as well as Bratislava. And also, let me just Ukraine not involved in this, so yeah, there. Slovakia will capitulate, and Poland will begin invasions into Latvia, taking Vilnius, Riga, and Tallinn. Now, the countries who border Poland in NATO, except for um, Germany, are pretty weak members. And since Germany was unsuspecting, Berlin has fallen pretty quickly, and Nuremberg has fallen as well, and Munich is right here and very close within Poland's sight. So this is going actually well for Poland until Nuremberg is recaptured by the Germans, who are beginning a push back into their territory. Berlin is re-seized. Poland is in a recession. Prague is retaken. And then Poland is a agrees to a negotiated peace. So what will happen in this peace treaty? But NATO will lose 2 members. That's right. Lithuania and Slovakia will be fully annexed into Poland. Now they demanded a peace out of Germany. Germany didn't want to give them anything. However, NATO forced them to, as that was Poland said that or we'll leave NATO. And they didn't want Poland to get kicked out even if they were doing traitorous activities like I don't know, invading. So the Polish border will inch closer to Berlin, as well as Czechia losing some of their land, and Riga also being on the border of Poland. So you have created, yes, you, not me, this was all you, a Polish empire. This is not what if Poland formed an empire video, guys. This is alternate history decided by you, and you decided to make Poland an empire. Well, great job, guys. Anyway, that will conclude the war between Poland and Germany. Actually, you might have thought that Poland would have lost because they were going up against all of NATO, except not all NATO help had arrived. And also, they weren't too enthusiastic about it, as Poland had said that they would remain in NATO as long as they got to take a few territories. So, Czechia has been extremely weakened by this war, so you guys can decide what happens to that. I won't do anything on my own that I was not told to do. And over here, Britain decides to do something, and that is to reform the British Empire. Well, I gave them the wrong islands. Just a second. Let me give them the right islands. These are the Faroe Islands, right, guys? And these are the ones that the British own. That's correct. But anyway, so the person who commented about Britain creating an empire wasn't too specific, so I'll just make them go after territory they had historically, and that their first target is Ireland. Now, Ireland isn't in NATO, but they are in the EU, which many people think is a military alliance, but it's not. It's an economic alliance. However, the EU nations will heavily sanction Britain, and so, yeah. Well, they think about heavily sanctioning Britain. Sorry, it's instinct. But they think about heavily sanctioning Britain. You guys get to decide if they do heavily sanction Britain or if they just let it slide that the British invaded an EU member state. Britain is not kicked out of NATO for this, and Ireland will receive a full annexation. And, why did I color Britain off? Let me undo that. Undo. Their next conquest is another territory they held historically. America. Just kidding. Nigeria. Why is this their first target? Well, they want it because it has a lot of population, could provide good economic things, and also there is some The Hawasu people, I don't know how to pronounce it, or maybe it's called something else now, rise up in the north. Well, they think about rising up in the north. I keep doing things that I'm not supposed to do. So we'll just color this out of existence for now. Actually, yeah, let's not have them rise up. But you guys can decide if they can rise up, because this war will last. Technically, I should let you decide the peace treaties. Sorry about that. In the future now, I'll let you decide peace treaties. So, sorry about this and this. But from now on, you guys will decide the peace treaties as well. But anyway, and also, the wars will last multiple episodes from this point on. So you can also decide events in them. Also, sorry, I'm a little sick, so it might sound weird. The British begin an invasion here. However, the Nigerians fiercely defend Lagos, which is not actually their capital, I don't think, but they still a pretty big population center, so they fiercely defend it. However, I think their capital is down here, so it does fall. However, the Nigerian officials are in Lagos at this time, and the British will begin pushing north. Another British attack will occur. This is the last one in Egypt. So you might be wondering why Brittany's going after these pretty powerful areas, but yeah. America is thinking about declaring protection over the Suez Canal to avoid war there so that shipping can still be free, but they don't do anything. Britain lands over here on the Libyan border. It probably, if we include military occupation of areas that aren't in the war, probably looks something like this. So the British are militarily occupying that part of Libya. However, Libya does not declare war. And yet, you guys get to decide. And Alexandria, like Lagos, is saved from the British. And that will do it for today's episode. We didn't get more decisions from you guys like this. So in the next episode, you can decide random things that happen. You can decide what Europe's reaction to the British invasion and occupation of Ireland is. You can decide what happens in the Russia-Ukraine war, the Anglo-Nigerian war, and the Anglo-Egyptian war. And you can also make things that are not related to any of these happen. Like, they have to be somewhat realistic though, but you could make stuff like northern Denmark sinking into the sea. Ooh. No. Anyway, sorry this is short. I didn't have a lot of requests, so these are the only things that can make it happen. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Please like and subscribe.